Good afternoon. I call to order the school board workshop. Ms. Tanner, please call the roll.
Basine?
Here.
Buffalo?
Here.
Inge?
Present.
Paulson?
Present.
Calogero?
Present. Agenda item 2.01, School Board Goal 4, interim measures 1 and 2. Dr. Pohl, would you please present?
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Make it a little bigger so we can all see it. How about that?
That might not be the right. I didn't update that. That was from earlier.
Yeah, Dr. Poe, before you get started, it's a discrepancy in what was on board docs.
Yeah, so in the board docs, I'm gonna explain that one.
All right, wonderful.
Before I get, and actually I'll do that on the second one because that's the math one.
Yeah.
Where the discrepancy was.
Okay.
And it was just a color coding issue where I didn't color it right and it didn't make it look as good. I
Okay.
had yellow instead of green, and it is totally my fault. I hate making little mistakes like that, and it slipped right by me, and I apologize. So, but I will discuss that more when we get there.
Okay, cool.
This afternoon, we'll be reviewing Board Goal 4, both measures for it. And Goal 4 is about our gaps. So it really looks at the reading and mathematics SOL test gaps to reduce them to be no greater than 10% by the end of the 26-27 school year. And these are for students in grades 3 through 8. When compared to subgroups of students in the areas of reading and mathematics. The performance of all subgroups of students will not decrease below the established baseline as well as the second part of this goal. So the first one we'll look at is measure 4.1, which focuses on our reading data. And there are two parts that we look at the data here. We look at the STAR measure, and we look at it for the proficiency, as well as the urgent intervention. So for proficiency, we're looking to move performance in our subgroup of black students from 42.6% to 63%, our students with disabilities from 21.7 to 48, our socioeconomic status students from 43.8 to 63%, our EL, our English learners from 17.8 to 43%, and 46.3 to 65 for our Hispanic subgroup. And then the one that goes in the opposite direction is the one looking at our urgent intervention, where we're trying to reduce students in the urgent intervention band in our black subgroup from 36.9% down to 20%, for our SWD from 62.1 to 40, SES 35.9 to 20, and 71.1 to 38 for our ELs, and our Hispanic from 29.1 to 25. So this one also has several individual graphs. We did initially try it, for those newer to the board, we did initially try it with one graph, and it was very difficult to read. So we put it in several separate graphs to be able to follow that trend line a little bit better. And most notably, I'm pleased when you just look at our data, we're moving in the right direction. And that's what I'm going to talk through for the most part now. So really, what does the data show? When we're looking at the proficiency part of the data, scroll all the way down here, all subgroups saw improvements in proficiency rate on the STAR reading assessment from the fall to winter test administration. However, two areas saw an increase in their gaps, and that was our EL versus non-EL and our Hispanic versus non-Hispanic. For the urgent intervention data, all subgroups made progress and met their target scores for the winter STAR reading assessment, except for our students with disabilities, which was less than 1 point above the target. So we're very close to that target. However, SWD did show improvement from the fall to the winter assessment. So that's why it was yellow. The rest were green on that chart. So what's going well with the proficiency data? The gaps between our students in the black and white subgroups, SWD and non-SWD, or SES, non-SES, have all decreased from the fall to the winter STAR reading assessment window. So we're seeing a decrease in the gaps. And all subgroups showed improvement from the fall to the winter test administration. For urgent intervention, the gaps between our students in the white and black subgroups, SES and non-SES subgroups, have decreased and met the winter target, and they're on track to meet the annual target. Gaps between the SWD and non-SWD, EL and non-EL, and Hispanic, non-Hispanic have all decreased from the fall to winter test administration. We just didn't quite make the target that was set. But we did see correct movement in those areas. What's not going well, looking at the proficiency data, although there was growth from the fall to the winter in all subgroups, the Black, SWD, SES, and non-SES, EL, and Hispanic did not quite make their winter target. They were just below it, so that's why they're yellow and not green. And the gap between the EL, non-EL, Hispanic, and non-Hispanic subgroups increased from the fall to the winter. However, the gap between EL and non-EL is still 5 points lower than it was in the spring of 2024, so we're still in a better position than when we ended last year with that gap. And in the urgent intervention, the percentage of students with disabilities in the urgent intervention category still remains high at 45%, despite the slight improvement from the fall to the winter. And with our students in the EL, the urgent intervention category is at 42%, despite the decrease of nearly 5% in the fall rate. So we do realize those numbers are still higher than where we would like them. Looking at our previous action steps, the first was around implementing and monitoring student reading plans. Reading specialists are utilizing the progress monitoring data to inform continued intervention and a differentiated SOL reading test prep instruction planning as we go into the spring testing season. The next one is around the reading specialists providing families with targeted resources. Each family of students with student reading plans were offered strategies, resources, and material to support the student literacy goals. Some examples are around the VALS family brochure and decodable texts and literacy websites that we use. The next was around monitoring master and intervention schedules. The reading specialists and the senior coordinators as well. They did frequent walkthroughs and provided feedback, and the English office continues to support schools in monitoring and adjusting intervention schedules. And all schools do have a solid intervention schedule in place, and they adjust it after each data cycle. The continued professional development, reading specialists and department chairs continue to utilize replicable PD and instructional coaching to refine implementation of small group intervention, especially during the What I Need, the WIN block, and the K-5 and the reading support blocks in 6-8. Replicable PD was provided at monthly reading specialists and department chair meetings throughout this year. And then around Lexia data, we did find that 31% of the students who began the year working below grade level in Lexia, Core 5, are now working at grade level, so a nice increase there. 24% of the students who began the year working below in Lexia Power Up are now working at grad level. So just so you know the difference, the Core 5 is the elementary and the Power Up is the secondary and the middle school. So we are seeing growth with that software usage and we're seeing improvement in reading. The evidence-based interventions, the English office logged over 143 coaching sessions with teachers trained on the SIPS program. The monthly PD, in January, all staff PD events where teachers with PD on the HQIM to plan and deliver rigorous and engaging blended reading and writing instruction. And then March for the all-staff PD, teachers receive PD to promote refined implementation of evidence-based interventions and to improve students' decoding and comprehension skills because those were where we were seeing some lower marks as far as on the standards. And the English office conducted classroom walkthroughs and engaged in instructional coaching to support the implementation of EBIs and HQIM. And also, we had some representation from VDOE who joined us in some of the learning walks that were conducted. And last was around monitoring reading specialist support logs. The data indicates a 2.5% increase in modeling and team teaching opportunities with our reading specialists from the fall to the winter. And some next steps for the English office, specifically with reading. They'll continue to analyze unit test data at each grade level, emphasizing strand mastery and subgroup performance to identify priority supports and guide instructional planning in April and May. Partnering with the Virginia Literacy Grant, Virginia English Learner Network, and Special Education Network. These were two smaller grants that Norfolk were awarded. Their English office is working in collaboration to support schools in creating and implementing action plans for increased student achievement and building capacity of best instructional practice for students with disabilities and our English learners. And the English office will work with learning support and the ESL office to replicate this process with other schools as they refine and implement their comprehensive school support plans. So what we see that works well, we're able to replicate with those grants. Expanding the strategic instruction model, the SIM strategy professional development cohort, and we collaborate with William and Mary on this. So we will work to expand that to include special educator teachers from all middle and high schools going into next year, and expand the SIM cohort professional learning communities to include additional literacy strategies based on division data and determined in collaboration with the English office. Current strategies included are paraphrasing and summarizing, fundamentals in sentence writing, and proficiency in sentence writing. So those specific areas came from our data from our students with disabilities. Specifically, that's where the highest needs are. So that's why we focus there, and we'll continue to look at data to add different strategies to our SIM cohort. The Department of Learning Support will collaborate with the English office to identify and implement evidence-based, multi-sensory, systematic, and explicit reading instruction professional development for our special education staff in elementary and secondary schools. And introduce a division-wide classroom observation tools with a specific focus on specially designed instruction and co-teaching to all school administrators in 25-26, so as we go into next year. And then expand the use of elevation strategies on, and it's an EL database for professional development platform with their asynchronous models to help our teachers to be able to reach our EL students stronger. So I'll pause there and take a little breath, and that's measure 4.1. I'm also going to grab a quick sip of water. Questions?
Are there questions?
No questions?
Oh, okay. Thank you, Dr. Pohl. It's good to see that we're making progress toward meeting the targets, although we haven't quite hit them yet. Are there any specific strategies here that that you might accelerate so that we can hit the targets?
So, I'm not sure we're able to accelerate much more at this point of the year, but we are able to maintain, and right now it's really about using that data to hone in on specific standards for specific students. So I know a question Mr. Inge had asked at the last board meeting about what do we do with gaps, and that's really where we hone in on specific student data, because the best way to improve a gap is to make sure that every student's weakness is improved. So we really have the data in place now. Our teachers have it at their fingertips, our specialists and the math and reading specialists at every elementary school and our middle schools, the reading specialists there have it as well. So really honing on that is what we're focusing on right now. And using like the data we're seeing in Lexia where that's been more, and making sure that the high fidelity usage is in place.
Okay, thank you. So speaking of Lexia, so I appreciated the information, the data that you provided here about, 31% of the students who began the year were below grade level, are now on grade level, and I appreciate the distinction between the power up. I was going to ask about what the difference was about that. Are you seeing differences or that same, what does it look like for the subgroups? Because that was all students, right?
Yeah, so that was all students, and it's looking similar to where our data is, where our STAR data is falling, where we're seeing the same growth patterns across subgroups. So it's very similar to where you saw the data for the STAR. We're seeing the same kind of growth within Lexia. So it's transferring over to the data that we're watching.
Okay, and specifically for the our ELL students and our Hispanic students, how does Lexia, how's Lexia adaptable to our ELL population and our students with disabilities? If you can, I know I've asked about this.
Yeah, sure. No, it's a great question. So I think we need to be cautious. Sometimes we think the best support for our EL population is translation, and it's not. We're honing in on teaching them English, and Lexia specifically really goes to the level of learning that they need the most support in. So that's why something like Lexia is a pretty powerful tool, because it differentiates student by student the level and the supports that they need. So with Lexia, it's giving us more powerful data on where they need. So not only the teachers, but our ESL teachers can then provide different supports for them as well.
Okay. And then finally, are these, and I see more focus in the next steps specifically around EL populations and our students with disabilities. Are these newer strategies that are put in place that we are beginning to employ, or are they
Another good question. So these have been around, but now we've done them in smaller pockets, and now we're, like the SIM strategy.
Okay.
We had specific schools who started that, and now we've seen the success, so now we want to branch it out.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure.
Other questions? You ready to move on?
Absolutely. All right. So, and again here, there were three small changes. Right here, our 81.6 exceeded the 77.4, so it should be green. It didn't just grow. And then our 67.5 should be green in the new one because it exceeded it. And then the 72.5 exceeded it as well. So those were the three color changes on that. And more green looks better than more yellow. So again, my apologies on that. So when we're looking at this one, it's very similar as far as how it's laid out. So now we're just looking at it in the math perspective. So measure 4.2, we're looking at students to move into the proficiency band that are in our black subgroup from 48.5 to 60%, SWD 30.4 to 43, SES 50.1 to 59, and then EL 32.9 to 55, Hispanic 58.9 to 64. And then similarly, moving them out of urgent intervention with our black subgroup 33.7 to 30%, SWD 52.2 to 48, SES 32.9 to 27, EL 40.5 to 36, and Hispanic 29.7 to 28. So overall, with our data, and I'm gonna pause here, I'm gonna go really slow there because there's a lot of green on that one, so I'm just gonna go really slow. When we're looking at our data here, for the proficiency data, all the subgroups in proficiency from the fall to winter STAR mathematics saw growth. However, two subgroups saw an increase in their gaps, which was our black, white, and SES, non-SES saw some growth in the gaps. And additionally, only one subgroup met or exceeded the winter gap, and that was a Hispanic, non-Hispanic. With urgent intervention, all subgroups showed improvement in the reduction of the percentage of students in urgent intervention band. Additionally, all subgroups showed improvement within gaps between subgroups. So not only are all of our students growing, like the goal says, and improving, but we're also seeing the gaps decreasing. So we're not quite at the rate with all of them, but we're moving in the right direction, which is improvement from where we were this time last year. So that's where we want to be. What's going well specifically with the proficiency, the gaps between the students with SWD, non-SWD, EL, and non-ELs, and Hispanic and non-Hispanics all improved from the fall 2024 data. Students in all subgroups showed improvements in the proficiency scores from fall 24 to winter of 25. With urgent intervention, all subgroups realized decreases in the percentage of students in the urgent intervention band, showing positive movement towards the spring 25 targets. And the SES, EL, and Hispanic subgroups showed strong progress in decreasing the percentage of students in the urgent intervention band. This one, always room for improvement. And although the overall trend in proficiency is positive, the black-white proficiency gap increased by 1.8 points, which means even though they both moved, the students in the white subgroup moved a little higher. And the same with SWD, non-SWD, it's the highest gap at 33.5%. And then with urgent intervention, the gaps are closing slowly. However, the SWD gap remains the highest at 29.7%. And the black-white gap remains above the winter target. So some statuses here. From the previous action steps about monitoring instruction, the math office conducted over 200 walkthroughs of instruction and data analysis with feedback focused on the implementation of the 2023 standards, those are our current standards. As far as the implementation of ZERN, the math office monitored the implementation of ZERN and Edmentum we use at the secondary level as well. Through classroom walkthroughs and school data meeting discussions, the math office supported implementation of ZERN and Edmentum platforms with 41 virtual and/or in-person professional learning opportunities. And student usage increased from 12% in the fall to 48.9% in the spring. And I think more importantly, the average usage increased from 34 to 42 because ZERN, they really want you on there 35 to 40 minutes a session. So we're really hitting that now. with lesson completion increasing from just under 0.5 a lesson completed per session to 1.1 lessons completed. So we're in a good spot with that now. The math office was going to monitor the small group instruction with walkthroughs. They monitored the instruction, conducting over 100 walkthroughs focused on small group instruction, and there was evidence of small group instruction in 29% of the walkthroughs. Specifically, there was evidence of small group instruction in 11 out of 68 walkthroughs in secondary classes and 20 out of 40 in elementary classes. And this is going to serve as a baseline for us. The first time I asked them to specifically do learning walks for small group instruction. So I have no comparison. I know there was a question out there brewing on that one. And for the elementary math specialist support logs, the math office reviewed the monthly support logs and specifically looking at coaching cycles. And 2,165 of the 5,061 support entries are 42% reference aspects of coaching cycles facilitated by the specialist. So that's a very important number because they can't spend all of their time coaching because they're also helping with data work, they're helping with planning, they're helping to model different lessons and do a lot of things. But we're seeing their time is approaching, half of their time is approaching coaching, which is going to be the most powerful professional development impact for our teachers across the division. And to address the scores of SWD and Hispanic subgroups, there were planned collaborations with learning support and the ESL office, and they did have those collaborations with both of them, and they supported the math leaders at Monthly Professional Learning and other strategic opportunities with ELS. So moving on, as we finish out this year and work through the summer and go into next year, they'll continue to monitor the implementation of the 2023 standards. The office will also continue to monitor the implementation of Zern and Edmentum and offer additional in-person and virtual learning opportunities. And that's also a huge focus for any new teacher that we hire, as well as long-term subs starting next year. We make sure they have explicit professional development around those tools as well. The data-driven small group instruction will be monitored through conducting walkthroughs with feedback and deepened intervention for high-need subgroups. The math office will continue to analyze unit test data at each grade level, looking at strand and standard mastery and subgroup performance to identify specific priority supports and guide instructional planning. And the Office of Learning Support will introduce division-wide classroom observation tools around SDI and provide the school administrators professional development on that. And the Office of Learning Support will implement the SIM math strategies as well next year, which is newer for us. And the Office of ESL will expand the opportunities for collaborative planning between ESL and classroom content teachers. And a lot of that work will be able to come now because, as you recall in the budget, the expansion of our ESL teachers, is a large portion of the staffing part of the budget, the increase. And they'll expand the collaborative planning between ESL and math specialists. And again, the use of elevation strategies in the EL database for our EL students. And that's the conclusion of Measure 4.2.
Other questions? So, thank you, Dr. Poole. In your root cause analysis, can you expand a little bit on why the black-white gap group increased based on, your review of?
Yeah, again, even though we saw growth in both areas, the students in the white subgroup grew faster. They grew more. And so really looking down to the data, at each school, it depended on standards in different areas of where we were. Also, with our math specific, when you have a long-term sub or an associate teacher in the math classroom, it's a little bit more difficult of an instructional leap sometimes for them.
Okay, and so are you saying that you think perhaps like staffing had, especially with math, our math teachers staffing allocations maybe playing a role?
It very well could be. I don't have specific numbers and data that align them, but I know that in the past we've had, especially when you get to middle school math, it's just harder to teach if you don't have the math background.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, thank you. And so you talked about, the student usage with Zern and Edmentum, and so you're seeing a positive correlation between the amount of time students are spending on those and positive outcomes, right?
So in the past, we have now Zern is newer. We started
Right.
Zern, remember, halfway through last year. So this year we'll have more data, but with Edmentum, the more positive and consistent, the more usage and consistent usage of completion of lessons, we did see positive correlations, so.
Okay. And are you seeing that be the case for all subgroups, similar to the question around reading proficiency, the
Yeah.
software tools that we're using, or,
We are.
seeing that
If
curve.
there's higher usage, there's higher performance.
okay, across all, okay. Okay, thanks.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Sure.
Dr. Pohl,
Sir.
good to see you again. So you had mentioned with the schools that the data is going to be, can we get a breakdown of this per school showing the gaps between each of the subgroups?
So again, like, if that's a request of the board or what we want, when these were brought out, we decided as a team that we would
Right,
look
no, no.
at division level data, and so I don't have a breakdown by school prepared.
Right, no, I understand you don't have it prepared, but is that something that you could get to us if the board did want something?
If the board requests that level data, I mean, we'd have, it would take me a minute to run the reports, but we could do it by school.
Okay, all right. It would just be good to see where the things are, and then compare it to the staffing reports that we get on each school as well, to see where the widens of the gaps are. But thank you.
Well, I'm almost wondering if the first step would be to look at the elementary versus middle school models, because this is K-8 data, correct?
Yeah.
So to look at it more as a grade level cohort than a specific school cohort might answer your questions, because, we want to find trends, right? So looking at an individual school might not show us the trend like looking at grade level performance.
I mean, I think it's a good idea to maybe just take that equity lens and put it over all of our K-8 schools, or, elementary through middle school, and to look at, the grades, the capacity, the teachers, to make sure that, I mean, that's something we've talked about doing
Yeah.
for a while, so it's
Yeah.
probably time we do that.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, there's value in looking at it both ways for that very reason, which you just do.
Looking at
So,
the grade level and also at school and comparing our staffing levels.
Right.
And see where, like Dr. Martin said, make sure equity is there.
right.
So I'll talk individually to board members offline, and I'll put a request in. So we're only asking to do what we specifically would
Yeah,
like to see.
it would just go through Dr. Birdsong.
Yeah. I will absolutely send a request to Dr. Burton.
Awesome, thank you,
Thank you,
Dr. Pohl.
everybody.
Can I get a motion to go into closed executive session?
I move that we go into closed executive session.
Is there a second?
A second.
Dr. Martin has brought forth the motion, and Ms. Basine has seconded the motion. Is there any discussion? Ms. Tanner, please read the motion.
Move that the members of the school board of the city of Norfolk go into a closed meeting for the purposes which are set out in subsection A of section 2.2-3711 of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act as amended for discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employees of the school board pursuant to subsection 2.2-3711A1 of the Act. The subjects of this portion of the closed meeting are the discussion of personnel on today's regular personnel agenda, the possible discipline of specific personnel, and discussion of candidates for appointments to the following board advisory committees: Student Health Advisory Committee, Career and Technical Education Advisory Committee, Gifted Education Advisory Committee, Special Education Advisory Committee, discussion or consideration of disciplinary and any other matters concerning students in Norfolk Public Schools that will involve the disclosure of information contained in the scholastic record pursuant to subsection 2.2-3711A2 of the Act. The subject of this portion of the session is the discussion of students on today's regular student support agenda and consultation with legal counsel and briefing by staff members pertaining to actual or probable litigation or regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by counsel pursuant to subsections 2.2-3711A7 and 8 of the Act. The subjects of this portion of the closed meeting are the provision of special education services, the new U.S. DOE requirement of certification of compliance with Title VI, and Students for Fair Admissions, Inc. versus Harvard and University of North Carolina et al., and the matters set above in subsections A and B of this motion. Basine?
Aye.
Buffalo?
Aye.
Inge?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Olson?
Aye.
Thomas? DeCalagero.
Aye. Good evening. I would like to call to order the school board business meeting. Ms. Tanner, please call the roll.
Basine?
Here.
Buffalo?
Here.
Inge?
Present?
Martin?
Present.
Olson?
Here.
Thomas?
Here.
DeCalagero.
Agenda item 4.03, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening. We request that all cell phones and pagers be turned off or on vibrate during the course of this meeting. Thank you. Please rise and remain standing for the reciting of the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Agenda item 4.04, can I get a motion to adopt the school board business meeting agenda?
I move that we adopt the school board meeting agenda.
Second.
The, Ms. Buffalo brought forth the motion and Dr. Martin seconded the motion. Is there any discussion? Ms. Tanner, please call the roll.
Basine?
Aye.
Buffalo?
Aye.
Inge?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Olson?
Aye.
Thomas?
Aye.
DeCalagero.
Aye. Motion is approved. Agenda item 4.05, school board clerk's report. Ms. Tanner?
Chairwoman DeCalagero, we are always appreciative of the student artwork every month in the boardroom. Just take a moment to look around and in the hallway and on the 11th floor. And this evening, we have literary readings by two students with Teens with a Purpose. Ms. Deirdre Love, wave at everybody, Ms. Love. Jeremy Clark, our senior coordinator for secondary English, will introduce our special guests.
Good evening. Board Chair, Ms. DeCalagero, Vice Chair, Ms. Thomas, school board members, Dr. Birdsong. I'm pleased to have the opportunity to introduce tonight's presenters. Teens with Purpose, founded and led by Ms. Deidre Love, who again is here with us, and you might hear from her in a moment, works with our NPS students to empower them to use their voice, their creativity, reflection, and action to affect personal growth and impact their communities. This mission certainly aligns with the division's efforts to promote literacy achievement and celebrate the power of literacy, and more specifically, the power of the written and spoken word. I want to thank Teens with a Purpose for everything they do for our students. Our first presenter will be Ms. Maribel Murphy, a junior from Granby High School, and followed by Shaheven Riddick, a freshman from Lake Taylor High School. I appreciate the opportunity that you're giving them to shine. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Maribel Murphy. I'm a freshman at Granby High School. My poem is titled Early Life in the Beginning. Tile in the hallway, principal's office, Group of mean girls, always together, never apart. Her and her goons, I just wanted friends they never understood. I just wanted friends, they were never that. Always together, never allow anyone in. Always at odds, at a Christian school. Is this how it's supposed to be? I think this is wrong. I think I should leave. I still can't keep friends. Maybe I'm broken, or maybe they broke me. I think it's okay. It's starting to get better. Then my abuelita died, and all it was worse. I'm still hurt now, but it's really getting better. I have 5 good friends, and I'm starting to feel better. I can make more friends. They can help me heal. I will never be whole, but I can begin to try again. Thank you.
My name is Shahaban Riddick. I'm a student at Lake Taylor High School. I am the Hampton Roads Youth Poet Laureate Ambassador for the City of Norfolk. And my poem title is called Unseen Battles. At 14, I carried more than my age should allow. PCOS became a part of me early, a silent companion that made my body feel tired and out of balance. It showed up in unexpected ways. Breakups that wouldn't fade, hair where I never wanted it, and a weight that sometimes felt unfairly imposed. They only saw these differences, the changes I couldn't control. They whispered and laughed as if my body were something to explain. But PCOS isn't just what you see. It's the constant weariness, the sudden mood swings and cravings that reminded me daily I am more than just a diagnosis. I learned to find strength in the mirror, to remind myself that my worth isn't up for debate. They didn't break me nor define who I am. They didn't break me because I refused to see myself through their eyes, because I found strength in understanding my body instead of resenting it, because I learned that beauty isn't in perfection, but in toughness. I am here whole and strong because I kept going when it felt impossible, because I chose to love myself in a world that didn't always understand, because my worth was never theirs to decide.
Oh, come on.
Ms. Deidre Love, would you like to come forward and share some remarks with the board?
Thank you for giving our young people this opportunity. I'm all choked up, Shy-Heaven.
Absolutely.
Youth poetry is, of course, it's a literary art, but as you're all experiencing, it's the opportunity for other people, adults, parents, their peers, to hear what it feels like to have that experience of being young, being marginalized, all the things that the 2 poets just described to us so very well. So I really appreciate your bravery, because it takes bravery and it takes courage and it takes study and practice to do what you do, and I honor you. And Mirabelle didn't say, she was one of the 10 finalists for the Hampton Roads Youth Poet Laureate program as well. So really cool. And the last thing I want to say before I leave the podium is I'm Mama D and Deirdre Love, and I'm bragging on another Norfolk Public School student, the Virginia Poet, but let me get it right, the Virginia Youth Poet Laureate for the first time is a Norfolk resident, for the first time is a Norfolk Public School student, and for the first time, 2 more firsts, for the first time is African American, and for the first time is a man, a male. So I'm really, really happy that we started collaborating with National Youth Poet Laureate to bring our voices, young people who don't get seen and heard, to the forefront. And for the first 3 years, the winners who earned it did not look or sound like us. And this year, Duran Glass III is the Virginia Youth Poet Laureate. So thank you all.
Thank you so much, young ladies, for sharing your gift with us here tonight. Next, we want to recognize some students who provided special artwork to our board members in February for School Board Recognition Month, and two of those individuals are here with us. So I'd like to ask the board members and Dr. Birdsong to go to the step and repeat, because we have certificates from the art department and from the school board to recognize their gifts on tonight.
All right.
As our chair makes her way there, she's going to stand in front of the podium, and then we're going to get a picture. Mr. Walker, are you available? You ready? Okay, wonderful. And please forgive me if I do not pronounce your name properly. I'm okay with you correcting me. Desaya Danielson of Maury High School, please come forward to be recognized. You're receiving a certificate from the art department and from the school board. And next we have Jordan Patterson of Northside Middle School. And just real quick, two students. We had an overflow room, and there may be some students that didn't check in with me. But is Layla Leary here? Samuel Rogue? Morgan Harrison? Come on, Morgan. Here you go, Sarah. Aaron Schilling? Yeah, come forward, Aaron. And Cameron Ricks. All a round of applause. We're going to get a photo, and then we want each of our students to explain their artwork. And we're going to quiz the board members and see if they remember whose artwork they have. Let's tighten up. Let's turn sideways. And if there's some parents that want to get shots while we're doing this, you're welcome. I need you guys to still stay in position. We got a couple of parents that are trying to get a shot, if that's okay. This is an important moment.
Yeah, come on, make sure you get a good picture of your babies.
Smile. Okay, each student, real quick, Desire Danielson, can you name your artwork? Come to the podium and name your artwork for us.
It was like one still life drawing of everyone together with the same like cool, calm, collective vibe. And I was just excited to draw it.
Good, let's give her a hand. Jordan Patterson, let's explain your artwork.
I don't really know what to say.
Do you remember what you did? Oh, well, look, that's okay. Look, an artist. Let's give him a hand. Morgan Harrison?
So I did a collage of my favorite food, strawberry ice cream, which my grandma gets for me.
Good job. Aaron Schilling?
My piece's name was called Deep Sea. It was of a squid using watercolor and pen as my mediums, and I would say it turned out pretty well.
Awesome. Good job. And Cameron Ricks? Hi.
I did my artwork for, well, like, I guess for art class, but I specifically did it it was for relationships, and my friend, she recently just had an accident, or not really an accident, but she recently was shot, and she was put into a wheelchair, and I really wanted to show that through everything, our relationship, continued.
Wow. We have such talented students. Let's give them all a round of applause. Thank you for your creativity and the school. On behalf of the school board, I don't know if Sarah, if you want to say something, but on behalf of the school board, we appreciate you.
First, I want to say I love my strawberry collage. And I want to thank you all for the time and effort you put into the artwork. It was very meaningful and special to the entire school board. Thank you.
Thank you all. You can return to your seats. Thank you so much. You may return to your seats. Thank you.
Thank you. I have your paint on my wall. It was fine.
Ms. Tanner, does that conclude your report?
That concludes my report. Thank you.
Agenda item 4.06, Superintendent's Report. Dr. Birdsong?
Good evening, Chair DeCalagero, Vice Chair Ms. Thomas, members of the board, staff, community. Thank you for being here this evening. Don't we have brilliant, beautiful children? They're so talented. Let's give them another round of applause. We are so proud of our children, and thank you for your partnership. We really appreciate it, Mrs. Love. So the video that we have for you this evening is very exciting. We're going to be highlighting some rock star teachers, some rock star students, of course, and then we have some breaking news about summer school. So please roll the video.
A celebration of the arts, as our division had some public events that showcased our students' wide array of talents. Let's take a look.
The students are walking around and they are communicating with the public here. They get to tell their art story. They really get to share their individual voices. The community gets to see all the amazing things that we're doing in Norfolk Public Schools classrooms. So there's so much opportunity here in really engaging with the community for our students to experience.
I've put a lot of effort into this all 4 years, and it feels really nice to come out here and perform these pieces for a lot of people that enjoy them and might even actually come to the full piece.
Years of hard work on the field and in the classroom culminated into a celebration as 12 student athletes were recognized at Granby High's signing day.
Felt very good. I'm very proud of myself for everything I was able to accomplish my whole high school career. I just want to thank God first, my family, my support staff, my coaches, just being there for me. Without them, this would not be possible.
Feels good being part of this big senior class. Feels good to be a part of it and just be a part of Granby, and I'm excited for my next chapter.
It felt really good to be on the stage with my teammates. It feels good to know that I'm gonna be able to play football again. The pride feels good. It's a lovable experience to even be able to do this, because you know it started with schools first. So it feels good to have my family in the background right now supporting me.
These student athletes understand the opportunity they have to play and study in college, and they are thankful for the help and support getting to this point.
I do not know what I would be without my teachers. They were just there for me, to be honest with you. I just love every one of my teachers. I have great relationships with all of them.
Having my family behind me really means a lot to me, and my mom sacrificed a lot to give me to this point, and I really appreciate her for that. And on all of my hats that I play in during the game, all of my cleats, it says Heart Mom on the back of it, just to honor her and keep moving forward with her in my life.
This group has laid the standard for future Granby classes.
Other athletes coming up behind me, just say, make sure you got the grades, make sure you at school getting what you need to be done. So
here's a look where these student athletes signed. The pictures are courtesy of Granby High student Leslie Bello.
Congratulations to Booker T. Washington Senior Jamia Davis for winning a $2,000 scholarship from the Virginia Association of Housing and Community Development Officials. She has a 3.9 GPA and was one of only 5 students selected for the award. Once again, congratulations.
Welcome to Invention Convention.
Students from across the area had the opportunity to showcase their creativity at the annual Invention Convention. Norfolk Public Schools is proud of all the students who participated. Lake Taylor School earned impressive honors, placing 2nd and 3rd in the middle and high school category, and 2nd in the K-5 category. Congratulations to our young scholars and their innovative inventions.
Approximately 700 elementary students with exceptional needs took over Old Dominion University's football stadium for the 16th annual Little Feat Meet. This event, in partnership with Special Olympics, allowed these young students to participate in a variety of physical activities. Volunteers from ODU and the Norfolk Sheriff's Department were on hand to assist and to cheer the students on.
This is our 16th annual Little Feat Meet, and we have this annual event put on by Special Olympics of Virginia to include our students with disabilities. This one is for our elementary students, and we have about 700 elementary students out here with their parents and volunteers to support inclusive sports. The objective of today's event is to promote activity and sports and choosing to include, allowing all kids to participate equally and show their abilities. It's one of their favorite events. They look forward to it. Parents too. I hear about it all year long, and so I just hope they take away memories, fun, and looking forward to it again next year.
Another round of Rockstar Awards went out.
Administrators visited schools throughout the division to present outstanding teachers with Rockstar Awards. This award recognizes exceptional teachers for excellent attendance or reaching at least 95% student participation on their STAR literacy assessments. Both teachers and their students were surprised and grateful for the recognition.
I'm just surprised, and I'm actually very happy because I do work hard and I feel very thankful.
On March 24th, 2025, Norfolk Public Schools was recognized by the Virginia Association of School Superintendents for its standout AI story at the Virginia Gen AI conferences, where 72 K-12 schools participated. NPS was one of only 2 districts invited to present at the Gen AI Year of Learning Virtual Graduation. Senior Director Jesse Zamora and Dr. Leon Edwards shared NPS's innovative AI integration, earning praise as an excellent example of an AI story. Jaycox Elementary recently held its 4th annual Family Music Night. Students and their families had the opportunity to take part in a variety of music activities, along with other fun games and events. Everyone enjoyed a night filled with music, laughter, and community.
A festive event took place at Richard Bowling Elementary as each student received a pair of shoes courtesy of a partnership between Shoes That Fit, Geico, and the Norfolk Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta sorority. Members of Norfolk City Council and our school board were in attendance. Over 400 shoes were handed out. According to the school principal, this day could have a lasting effect on the students.
It's going to have a wonderful impact on them. Them receiving free shoes is more than just providing them with footwear. It is providing them with a sense of self-esteem, self-confidence, also building community partnership. Our students are smiling, they are excited, and I just believe that it's going to go a long ways with them.
Students at St. Helena Elementary racked up on books at the school's Scholastic Book Fair.
It exposes them to a chance of reading books, not the older books, the ones they've already seen, characters and things that they like. The more they read, the better the reading level goes. So we're exposing them as many chances to read in different directions, and this gives them an opportunity to take books home because they should be reading about 15 minutes a day, and this gives them an opportunity to have some books at their house that they will enjoy reading.
Each student was able to pick out 5 free books, courtesy of the Scripps Howard Fund.
I think reading is important because when you grow up, you have to read a lot of things, and if you don't learn to read, then it's going to be hard to do other things.
On Saturday, March 29th, the district hosted Family University at Booker T. Washington High School. The goal of Family University is to facilitate strategic, authentic, and engaging educational family-oriented training. The program kicked off with opening remarks by Captain Barrington Irving, an educator, entrepreneur, and motivational speaker, followed by interactive family sessions addressing reading, math, literacy, and STEM with the hope that NPS families will be more empowered and equipped with ideas and materials to engage their students at home.
The message for Family University I wanted to give is for families to understand it's okay. You don't have to have all the resources and everything organized. That's why Norfolk is here. That's why Norfolk Public Schools want to create this environment to provide support. But my direct message is times are changing, things are changing. Take advantage of skilled career opportunities available to your child, whether they go to college or they don't, doesn't matter. These opportunities, we need people, not just in aviation, but in other industries as well. Take advantage of it.
So what I've learned, just community and group activities, togetherness, the work that is put in through Norfolk Public School systems, and even programs that parents don't know that they offer, just the information that they have set up. I feel like it definitely helps the parents as far as like what they need and providing a little time because they get to see what the school system has to offer, different activities and programs like for the summer, spring break and things like that.
I thought this was amazing. I really enjoyed the keynote speaker. I thought he had a very inspirational message for our young people about how there's degree-free ways to be successful in life. And some of the activities here today are just really encourage students to explore creative ways to use engineering to solve problems. And I think that would benefit a lot of students in Norfolk Public Schools.
We are Spring 25 of the Epsilon Theta chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Registration is open for Norfolk Public Schools 2025 summer programs. There is something for all grade levels, preschool through high school, such as postgraduate and career development, STEM preparations, arts, music, and academic enrichment, and all programs are available at no cost to students. All applications for summer programs are due by April 28th. For the full list of programs and registration, please visit this webpage.
For complete video stories and more division-wide information about Norfolk Public Schools, visit the NPS website and check out our YouTube channel, Facebook page, Instagram, NPS newsletter, and our podcast, NPS Unplugged.
Thank you. That concludes my report.
Agenda item 4.07, citizens' comments. Ms. Tanner, how many speakers do we have for the evening?
Chairwoman DeGalagero, today's citizens' comments, we have 11 speakers. Today's speakers signed up for public comments before the start of today's business meeting. When your name is called, please come forward to the speaker's podium. State your name and whether you have a child in Norfolk Public Schools or if you are employed by the district, and state your agenda item or items. One person is to speak at a time. If you are representing a group, state the group's name. You may ask your group members to stand in place to be recognized. Speaking time is limited to 3 minutes. A timer is set with an alarm that will signify the end of your speaking time. State your position and give relevant facts or data. Avoid saying anything that identifies students or personnel information about individual employees. Personnel, disciplinary, and confidential matters may be addressed to the school board directly via email at schoolboard@npsk12.com. Comments should be addressed to the board and not addressed to an individual member. School board members do not respond to public comments at the time they are given. Any written statements or supporting materials should be given to me, the clerk. Chairwoman DeCalagero, our first speaker is Mary Anna White, followed by Nick Green.
Good evening, Superintendent Birdsong and Honorable Superintendent Birdsong and honorable members of our school board. Thank you so much for all you do. I'm Mariana White, a teacher at NPS, a member of the Education Association of Norfolk, and a Norfolk resident. I'm very concerned about the idea of giving up DEI. Public schools are supposed to support everyone. We at the EAN are asking you to stand up for all our children. We're asking you not to give in to Secretary McMahon's demands. Will they keep Title I funding? I know that's a main concern for everyone. That's a separate fight, though. Forbes has stated that Project 2025 is expecting all of the Title I funding to go to the states. Here in Virginia, I think we're safe. They're going to take care of us here in Virginia. So we should unite with all of our city sisters in solidarity and stand up for both DEI and Title I funding. The National Education Association is already preparing a lawsuit regarding the cuts in education in general. I wish you the best of luck in this huge decision. I plead with you to stand up for DEI and for all of our children. Who are we if we don't support all of our children? We will need to support Title I funding as well. That's another fight. Now we support diversity, equity, and inclusion for all. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Board, Chair DeCaligiero, Vice Chair Thomas, and Superintendent Birdsong. My name is Nicholas Green. I am the father of Priscilla, a first grader at W.H. Taylor Elementary. I teach 7th grade history and social studies at Northside Middle, and I serve as the lead organizer for the Education Association of Norfolk. And tonight I come to ask you, where does it end? Diversity, equity, and inclusion are under attack, and they were long before DEI became the current catchphrase weaponized by those who wish to stand in the way of American progress. There are dark powers in this country that would love to see many of us taken back to a time and place where we would have reduced rights, fewer freedoms, and to be taught a whitewash of history that forfeits our students the opportunity to learn the complexities of American history. To see how these changes are being made in the name of dismantling DEI and what some consider ridding us of revisionist histories, we can look no further than our military, where already the Tuskegee Airmen and the Women's Air Force Service pilots were removed from Air Force training videos, and information on the Navajo code talkers was only recently reinstated on Marine Corps websites. So if this is how they would treat the greatest generation, where will it end for public schools? Will we not be able to recognize Black History Month, Women's History Month, Native American History Month? Will we be able to teach the truth about chattel slavery, the Jim Crow South, and the Civil Rights Movement, with many of its roots not only being United States history, but Virginia and Norfolk history as well? What about the women's rights movement? The Americans with Disability Act? Will we not be able to welcome all of our students, no matter who they are, where they come from, or how they identify? I urge this board to stand in the gap and say no, no, no. We will not sign away inclusion in Norfolk and not sign any anti-DEI certification. Thank you.
James Parker.
Good evening, Dr. Birdsong, Dr. Birdsong and members of the Norfolk School Board. My name is James Parker. I am the president of the Education Association of Norfolk. We are a union of educators. I am a teacher at Chesterfield Academy Elementary School. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of our union and our students. I want to speak on the issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion. It is very important that we send a powerful message that we are not going to be bullied by a government. Our students should be our utmost importance for ensuring that we are giving everyone that we can to make sure that we have a quality public school education. Allowing national leaders to hold our schools hostage is a travesty. Regardless of who is sitting as the president or regardless of their party, we do not want funding for our schools to be taken away. A quality public education should be a right for all students. It should not be left up to people who do not have the best interests of our students in mind. I shouldn't have to say that education is a vital part for students to become productive and successful members of our society. If America wants to continue to be a global leader, then we must have a workforce that is capable for that task. That is why we support Norfolk Public Schools' motto of creating good citizens. Thank you for allowing me to speak on behalf of all of our members. I urge you to think about how you vote, how your vote will affect our students. Thank you for all that you do.
Glennis Mason.
Good evening, Superintendent Birdsong, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the school board. Parents and community supporters, please stand for Booker T. Washington High School. Thank you. You may be seated. My name is Glennis Winfield Mason, and I am proud to be the PTA president of Booker T. Washington High School, a great historic institution affectionately called Booker T. by many members of the community and the city of Norfolk. Booker T graduates have excelled in various aspects of their careers, including higher education, sports, business, entertainment, media, and medical vocations. Many have given back to the school through donations, scholarships, and as volunteers. As a spokesperson for the PTA and parents, I want you to know that there are some great and positive programs and activities happening at Booker T. To name a few, the iMoms, Pro Dads, Meal and a Message, College to College, and the EELC programs. Students volunteering at the food bank, the ROTC winning 3rd place in overall drill from this area. The orchestra participating in passing the attendance flag program, and all in spring break camp for athletes. The upcoming Denim and Diamond Summit for girls and the Entrepreneurial Summer Immersion Camp program at ODU are all wonderful things happening at and for Booker T. In addition, community supporters have provided the school with financial and in-kind donations to support faculty, staff, and students. But there is a downside that parents would like to have addressed. For example, the school lacks resources and support for programs which enhance the students and families. There has not been a choir director for almost 2 years, and no theatrical performance this year. And this school is the school of the arts. Other concerns include building construction during school hours, producing dust and fumes affecting allergies and breathing. 3 bathrooms are out of order. Water leakage, inadequate building temperatures, blocked areas for repairs, mold and asbestos, hallway doors sticking, and a foyer with an inadequate school entrance. Yes, you might say improvements have been made. However, the process seems to be piecemealed just to satisfy rather than completing the job in a timely manner. As I close, I ask that plans for the downside and a viable curriculum be addressed and implemented before the start of the 2025-26 school year that will attract students to Booker T. I look forward to your support for Booker T as well as all Norfolk Public Schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Tyrone Weems.
Good evening, Dr. Birdsong, school board members. My name is Tyrone Weems, 5th grade teacher at Lindenwood Elementary School and EAN member. I want to thank the ladies who read their poem, along with Jordan, one of my past students. Lindenwood 5th grade also has a poetry book, which we've been doing, and it's available for our fundraiser for our PTO. We're also working on a new one with the theme of Earth Day. Please contact our school to order one. We, the family, school, staff, and community, want our district to fight back and not vote to drop rules and norms to support every student that walks through our doors. At Lindenwood, we have worked extremely hard to make sure every student achieves success and is supported by the highly educated staff. We know that with time, the turnaround by uplifting our community will produce positive change. Vote no and keep these DEI programs and fight back against this horrible administration's evil actions. Let's take the actions of so many others who have chosen to fight back. We also want to make sure we work with the parents who aren't sending their kids to school to make sure every child gets to school every single day. But cutting these programs that support the children and the members will cause major problems. Keep the DEI programs that keep us moving forward. Let the truth of Virginia history stand strong over bowing down to bullying. Thank you.
Carl Poole.
Members of the council, good evening. My name is Carl Poole. I don't have any children, but I'm a Norfolk resident and a former NPS student. In this country and in this city, we believe in local control and accountability, that decisions that affect our lives should be made by us, and that decisions about our public schools be guided by the people we elect to serve us, not imposed from on high through political pressure and threats. That is why many of us are outraged when President Trump issues executive orders that bypass Congress, ignore public input, and attempt to concentrate power in the hands of a few. Regardless of where you stand politically, you know this is wrong. Unfortunately, we're witnessing the same type of overreach locally as well. The City Council passed a resolution demanding that you, our elected school board, develop a plan that begins closing 10 public schools starting in the 26-27 school year. And what happens if you don't do it? The council has threatened to change how public schools funding is delivered, to assert more direct control over your budget allocation. In other words, do as we say, or we'll take your money. Sound familiar? Just like those executive orders, this resolution is about power. It is not about improving public school education. It is about using financial threats to force compliance. That is not how democracy should work. That is not how local government should work. And that is not how we should protect public education in Norfolk. Our teachers and our schools are not political hostages. They are the anchors of our communities and the tools by which Norfolk builds futures. If schools closures are on the table, they should come only after a thorough, inclusive, and community-centered planning process, not after an abbreviated and rushed response to an ultimatum. You, the members of the Norfolk School Board, were elected by the people of Norfolk to represent us, not a mayor, not a city council, not Richmond, not Washington, us. So tonight, I'm asking you to stand firm. Resist this overreach, no matter who's testing your resolve. Protect your independence. Defend our public schools from being used as pawns in political games. This is our city. These are our schools, and we are asking you to fight for them. Thank you.
Keenan Baskerville.
Good evening, school board and Superintendent Birdsong.
You can move those closer.
Yeah, move them closer. Nice. There you go. Good evening, school board and Superintendent Birdsong. I am Keenan Baskerville. I'm a resident of Norfolk, Virginia. I'm here to ask you to push back against going with the Trump administration's push towards removing DEI from our schools. NPS is already short-staffed on teachers and administrators who are qualified and prepared to help students with disabilities, accessibility in schools. Now it's not the time to pull away from that. Now it's the time to, in fact, push more towards it. These are unprecedented times with forces that can really change the whole scope of where Norfolk will be in the next decade, 2 decades, or even more. The ramifications will ripple. Please, just take some time to think more about your decision and how it will affect all of your students. Thank you.
Vincent Hodges.
Acting Superintendent Birdsong and the school board. Didn't intend to come and speak this evening until I looked at the agenda a little more thoroughly and saw the agenda item for DEI. Want to try to approach my comments with a bit of anecdote so we can all relate a little bit. When you talk about Norfolk to other people that don't live in Norfolk, Norfolk is just different. Right? We're just different. And that's a good thing. I take pride in that. I moved here in the military in 2000, and when I transferred here, my father was here. Don't go to Church Street, all these things, right? But what I found was that Church Street and the downtown revitalization was happening, and the next thing you know, we're about to be in all of Hampton Roads. And so I want us to lean into that same kind of thought process when we think about what's coming and this ask for us to suspend our DEI. We have to say, no, we are different. We are just different. And I want us to kind of hold our breath and allow me to address some things that might make us a little uncomfortable, but that our kids need to know so when they leave our loving hands, they can go into this world and be better people. Give me just a second. Matthew Fontaine Maury was a Confederate who fought in support of enslavement, of the domestic slave trade, and Africans. That was Maury. Uncomfortable, right? In 1985, the police bombed a black communal socialist organization called MOVE. Not once, but twice. The police, right? And in 2020, the police murdered George Floyd. But it's Women's History Month, here it is in April, and these are all things that we might not be able to talk about in our schools to develop our young people if we allow this federal push to come down on us. We are Norfolk, we are just different. So I'd just like to encourage that spirit in all of us. When we start talking about what we can do, you know, I recognize that 20% of Norfolk Public Schools funding comes from federalism or from federal fundings, but I'd also like to take these last 30 seconds and ask us to remember that those of us who have finished our high school degrees and gone on to get secondary education, the point was not to get rich. And if it was, then you messed up. Because the point was for you to have an education to help your people when the lights go out, and they are going out. We're shedding the lights on 10 schools, and the process is not transparent. I look forward to participating in it, I really do. And I'm gonna send emails respectfully requesting people's time so I can be a little more informed. But we are Norfolk and we are different, so please push back against this federal funding cut and the local funding cut. Thanks.
Lisa Walker.
Good evening to the school board, Dr. Birdsong, and all in attendance. My name is Lisa Walker, and I'm the reading specialist at Southside STEM Academy at Campus Stella. I watch and I'm sometimes stunned at the school board meetings. There are lengthy discussions as to why students are choosing not to pursue an advanced studies diploma. We ask why the students with disability have stagnant data in reading and math. Then I hear our varsity teams must forfeit games due to lack of participation. The board asks about next steps and what's not working. You even question the importance of textbooks. I hear all these speaking points, and I rarely hear about the key to all those discussion points, highly qualified teachers. The only thing that I did hear about teachers is when a board member stated, it's so stressful to work for NPS that staff are leaving for other divisions, which is why I want to address teacher compensation. We are in a national teaching crisis in conjunction with dismantling of public education. I realize that times are tight and there's so much uncertainty around funding in this current climate. However, there is a limited pool of professionals. Norfolk Public Schools must outshine the rest. Your high-year teachers deserve more than a bonus. We are eternally grateful for the uncompressed steps. You made it so we were treated fairly when having a voice was not an option years ago. For all of our other staff, the high demands and decision-making placed on educators daily need to be considered. Social media and technology appear to be king, while parent engagement, student behavior, and motivation have changed forever since COVID. The Tier 1 instruction is the transformation in a child's academic success. Please stop discussing points of order and opinions and start reflecting on and assessing how the years of inaction have impacted our mission statement, which is currently under assault, of being the cornerstone of a proudly diverse community with highly qualified teachers and staff dedicated to providing a variety of teaching and learning opportunities for all students. Thank you.
Candace Driver.
Good evening. Good evening, Dr. Birdsong, members of the executive leadership team, and members of the school board. My name is Candace Driver, and I'm principal at Plummer Bernard Young Senior Elementary School, Equity and Excellence Learning Center. I stand before you today to share my sincerest thank you for funding for our EELC program at Plummer Bernard Young Senior Elementary. Our scholars at PB Young have participated in an array of enrichment activities and experiences that have broadened their thinking, expanded their self-confidence and understanding of robotics, arts and crafts, culinary arts, photography, interpretive dance, and a whole lot of other enrichment activities that our 5 through 8-year-olds would ordinarily not experience until they get to middle school. Through the EELC program, we have been able to expose our children to programs such as this, and they are taking off and flying with these experiences. As a matter of fact, I would like to invite you all to PB Young Senior Elementary on May 15th at 4:15 p.m. to experience our last and final into our EELC enrichment activities for the school year. This is my second time inviting you all. Please come. The EELC program at PB Young has provided phenomenal enrichment opportunities for our students, as I stated before, that they would otherwise not experience till later in their academic career. Through the enrichments, students are developing self-confidence, they're learning what their gifts are at an early age, and they're being able to apply those gifts in their instructional programs throughout the day. They visited the Black History Museum in Washington, D.C. They've seen how art glass is made at the Chrysler Museum, and they're going dolphin watching to support the mammal part of our science instruction for second grade. These opportunities would not be possible without the support of the Equity and Excellence Learning Center programs. So again, I thank you for that opportunity. And on behalf of Plummer Bernard Young Senior Elementary, J. Cox Elementary, Compass Academy at Ruffner, and the historic Booker T. Washington High School, I thank you all because our schools feed into each other. And we have the opportunity as principals to collaborate with each other so that these enrichment opportunities are experienced from one level of our students' education to the next. This has been an awesome school year for our students. They are experiencing these enrichment opportunities at a very young age. And otherwise, without the funding for the Equity and Excellence Learning Centers, this would not happen. Again, my name is Candace B. Driver, and I am the principal in Norfolk Public Schools, the system that is the cornerstone of a proudly diverse community. Thank you.
Chairwoman DeCalagero, this concludes our speakers, and it's an adjustment. It's only 10.
Okay, thank you. Agenda item 4.08. Can I get a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
Second. Tanya, Ms. Basine.
Ms. Moore Buffalo has brought forth the motion, and Ms. Basine has seconded the motion. Is there any discussion? Ms. Tanner, please call the roll.
Basine?
Aye.
Buffalo?
Aye.
Inge?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Paulson?
Aye.
Thomas? DeCalagero.
Aye. All right. Agenda item 6.01, monthly financial report. Mr. Steve Jenkins.
Good evening, Chairwoman DeCalagero, Vice Chair Thomas, Dr. Birdsong, and members of the school board. This evening, I'll review the financial reports for the month of March. The March report covers 9 months from the start of the school year, the fiscal year, which was July 1st to 24. As with previous statements, the report reflects activity taking place between July and March that was recorded on or before April 10th. General fund collections during the first 9 months for the first 9 months and available balances from the previous year totaled $336,750,000. That is 71% of the $475 million general fund budget. During the same period, we spent or encumbered $344.3 million, or approximately 72.4% of the budget. During the previous year, spending was at the same rate, or very similar, at 72% of the budget. The report also includes a grant summary. The quarterly report appears on pages 8 and 9. As of March 31st, there were active awards totaling $114.9 million, of which we had spent or encumbered $58.7 million, or 51%. There are 33 active federal awards. Most expire either in September of 25 or 26. There are 14 state awards, including 4 state-operated programs that expired March 31st at the end of the period that this covers. Apart from the state construction grant, the remaining state awards will expire on June 30th, 2025. We recorded no budget transfers during the month of March that exceeded $50,000. And then finally, there is a quarterly grants and donation report that was included in this section of your agenda. The previous quarter, individual schools collected $43,860 from donors. The largest single source was Donors Choose, and then there were 3 separate awards of $5,000 each from C&M Construction, SB Ballard Construction, and John McNamara Curtis. We recommend that you accept and approve the donations received by schools. Chairwoman DeCalagero, that concludes my remarks. I would be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
Madam Chair.
Mr. Inge?
Good evening, Mr. Jenkins.
Yes.
I did have one question. If we can go to page 9 of your report on the state grants, you stated that all the grants would expire on June 30th. Is that correct?
With the exception of the school construction grant.
Okay. Now, just looking at the All in Virginia initiative, that's the mentoring and tutoring grant. We were awarded $14.3 million in 23. It's set to expire in June the 30th. We only spent about 38% of that, so we got about 37 days left in school. So will we be able to get that all spent?
Sir, I'll have to change my remarks. I did not know, most of our grants do expire on June 30th. The construction was a big one that I noticed didn't. I should also say that all-in funds will carry over until we spend the funds. So
Okay.
I am mistaken, and thank you for pointing that out. That grant will continue.
So it will roll over to the next school year?
Yes,
Correct. Okay.
you're correct.
That was
Thank
my
you.
question.
Sorry for that error.
Yes. Welcome back, Mr.
Thank you.
Jenkins.
Thank you,
Nice
Ms.
to see you.
Basine.
So on the monthly financial report, the regular report on page 3, under classroom instruction, there were purchase services that seemed to be significantly over what was budgeted. Can you expand on what those services
Yes,
held?
I have an inquiry on that, that very item. I believe it's related to tutoring services, and I believe that there's possibly an error in recording encumbrances, but we've not resolved that issue quite yet. So I'm not certain that the report is correct on that score, but it is something I'm waiting for more information on.
Okay, and
If it is correct, we will have, there are surpluses in other accounts which would cover it.
okay, and is that something, would that impact the way we adopt the monthly financial report tonight, or?
It will not.
It will not?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Good. And I don't know if this may be the same situation, but under special education on page 4, I noticed, again, under purchase services,
Right, and that's largely because we've had to hire contractors because of staff shortages. So in this case, there will be a surplus in the salary accounts, which will cover it.
okay. So it's largely, okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Did have one follow-up. Oh, I'm so sorry, Madam Chair.
Yes. I'm good to go, Madam Chair?
Yes.
May I? So with that said, with the special ed purchase services, do the board expect to see some kind of transfer because for these deficits, or?
I will talk with Dr.
Okay.
Dr. Birdsong about this. It's very likely we'll need to. But we have encumbrances that are absorbing or causing the deficit. So we haven't quite spent it all, but you notice there's $2 million of outstanding encumbrances.
Yes.
So we will address that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
She took the question right from me.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there other questions? Mr. Paulson, any questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Can I please get a motion to adopt the monthly financial report subject to audit?
I move we approve the monthly financial report subject to audit.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any need for discussion? Ms. Moore Buffalo brought forth the motion, and Mr. Inge seconded the motion. Ms. Tanner, please call the roll.
Basine?
Aye.
Buffalo?
Aye.
Inge?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Paulson?
Aye.
Thomas? DeCalagero.
Aye. Agenda item 6.02, School Board Educational Facilities Planning Committee update. My update is that the first meeting of the Educational Planning Facilities Committee is set for May 1st at 4 p.m. at Norview High School. I have asked Mr. Inge and Colonel Paulson to attend the meetings as observers only, to report back to the board. And I'm calling a special meeting for Tuesday, April 29th at 5 p.m. for the board to discuss its roles and responsibilities to this committee. Thank you. Agenda item 6.03, review draft timeline for superintendent's evaluation. Everyone should have, that should have been put on the dais for everyone. There is a mistake on here. We have a graduation on Wednesday, May 28th, so that date will have to be modified. In previous conversations with Dr. Birdsong, we had discussed June 4th as being the date she presented to the school board. So the Wednesday, May 28th date would now become June 4th. And then the question becomes, is that enough time for school board members to still submit consolidated comments to the chair by Friday, June 6th?
Probably not.
Is there any discussion?
Probably not.
So,
We can do it earlier.
Oh, no, I don't know why she, I just said it was probably too tight.
Yeah, we had discussed June 4th at 10 a.m. as the date and time for Dr. Birdsong
10 a.m., okay.
to meet with the board. In terms of the Friday, June 6th deadline, I propose that we move that to Monday, June 9th, and consolidated comments will be distributed on Tuesday, June 10th.
I think that is reasonable.
yeah, I agree.
I agree.
So June 6th becomes June 9th? you said?
Yeah.
Monday.
Okay, and then
Everything
ninth.
else.
Oh, it stays the same?
No, consolidated comments will be distributed on June 10th.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Tuesday, June 10th. Did I hear that correctly,
Yes.
Madam Chair? Okay. And are all the other dates okay?
Yes.
Okay.
So with these change in dates, is there a motion to approve the summative evaluation timeline for the superintendent?
I move that we approve the superintendent's summative evaluation timeline for school year 24-25.
I
As
second.
modified? Do I have a second?
I second.
Ms. Basine?
So Dr. Martin has put forth the motion to accept the modified timeline, and Ms. Basine has seconded the motion. Any further discussion? Ms. Tanner, will you please call the roll?
Basine?
Aye.
Buffalo?
Aye.
Inge?
Aye.
Martin? Aye. Paulson?
Aye.
Thomas? Calagero?
Okay, thank you. Agenda item 6.04, discussion vote on DEI. Can I get a motion to vote on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion as required by President Trump's executive order?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we reject President Trump's executive order and that we direct the superintendent of Norfolk Public Schools to not sign it.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Mr. Inge has brought forward the motion, and I will say Ms. Thomas has seconded the motion. Is there any discussion?
I have discussion.
Dr. Martin?
My concern, while I wholeheartedly support any DEI initiatives, especially equity, my concern here is not, it's not that. It is that we are presenting a modified version
If
of,
this vote if this vote passes, there
It's a
is a
modified
modified
version.
version that will become up.
and my concern is that will be interpreted as noncompliance, and that we would forego the $60.6 million that our students need. And as elected officials, we swore when we took our oath to do no harm. And so it puts us in a real tenuous position, and it's uncomfortable. But again, the ethics of do no harm, it lays heavy on my heart. And so I will not be voting in favor of the modified version.
But that is not on the table.
It's not?
What's on the table right now is to not sign the,
Okay, so it's not signed, so I will be supporting signing it. Sorry.
Okay.
We did it in the negative. Usually we do it in the
Well,
right?
his motion was not
Not
to
to
sign
sign
it.
it. Okay, right.
So keep that in mind when you're voting. It's not to sign it.
Okay.
Okay. His motion is
Not to sign it? Oh, okay.
Okay.
Is that what we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
Yeah.
His motion right now is not to sign
Okay.
it. Okay.
I agree to not sign it then, right?
What? No, you just
What, is it the modified version?
No.
right?
no, we're not talking about a
We're not
modified version.
modifying, I put a motion on
not
the floor to reject the president's executive order and direct the superintendent to not sign the compliance.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I see. Yes.
Other discussion?
And it's been seconded.
And it's been seconded.
It has been seconded.
Yes.
Mr. Paulson?
When we vote tonight, some of us, hopefully, we're not going to vote emotionally for ourselves. We vote for our constituents. And so as we unfold here, I hope everybody can remember that we are representing parts of Norfolk, and we speak for them. Thank you.
I just want to say, by not signing it, we represent and we speak for Norfolk. That's what I want to say.
Madam Chair? I will still support my motion. I will be voting no that we do that, because this same school board back in 1960, not us, we weren't here, but they voted to put segregation in Norfolk Public Schools, and it took the federal government to intervene for them. And now we're sitting in 2025, where now we have to vote on dismantling diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the federal government is forcing us to do that? No. Reject it and send it back up to 95.
Ms. Basine or Ms. Moore Buffalo?
I'm ready for the roll call.
Call the roll.
Call the
Call
roll.
the roll. Ms. Tanner, please call the roll.
Basine?
I vote in supporting rejecting the DEI certification.
Buffalo? I also support not signing the DEI certification.
Inge?
I stand on the right side of history and vote no.
Well, you vote yes to your motion.
I'm sorry, I vote
See,
yes.
this is-
My
it's not
bad.
just
Look, I'm
me.
sorry, I got a little stirred up there.
It's not just me.
Yeah.
That's why it should be in the affirmative, though.
The president pissed me off.
Oh, for me, yeah. Okay. Nay.
She voted no.
She voted no. Paulson?
I personally support Mr. Inge. My constituents are opposed to this, so I vote no for them.
Thomas?
I vote yes.
Calogero?
I do agree with Dr. Martin's statement about doing no harm, but I do feel that in this case, doing no harm is to vote in favor of Mr. Ng's motion. So I vote yes. Motion is approved. Now, are there any other motions on the floor?
Madam Chair, just for clarity, since we had some, just maybe restate for the benefit of the administration what we have just.
The board has voted in favor of not signing not signing the letter that we've been asked to sign from the president's executive order.
Madam Chair, I do have a motion. I move to direct the superintendent to sign a revised version of the certification of compliance with federal civil rights laws that the U.S. Department of Education requires all state and local education agencies to sign by April 24, 2025.
Is there a second?
I second.
Discussion? Mr.
Would you like me to read the
Yes, please.
proposed revision before the discussion?
Yes, please.
Just to be clear, what we are talking about is the United States Department of Education's form, which they issued on April 3rd of this year, requiring that all state and local education agencies within the United States execute a certification of compliance with various civil rights laws. Strictly speaking, it's not an order of the president. The required certification paragraph is just 2 sentences long. The rest of the document is a series of legal arguments. The deadline for signing and returning it in Virginia would be returned to the Virginia Department of Education for filing with the United States Department of Education. The deadline is tomorrow. The proposal under this motion is to modify the 2-sentence certification paragraph, and I'm going to read the last sentence, which is being modified in its entirety, and I'll indicate to you when I get to the part that's being added. The first sentence of the 2-sentence paragraph simply requires the person signing, which would be, if the motion passes, the superintendent, to acknowledge having received this form and reviewed it. And the title of the form is Reminder of Legal Obligations Undertaken in Exchange for Receiving Federal Financial Assistance and Request for Certification under Title VI and SFFA versus Harvard, which is a United States Supreme Court decision from a couple of years ago. The second and final paragraph, final sentence of the 2-sentence paragraph, I'm going to read its entirety, and again, I will note the addition that is being proposed. It reads, I further acknowledge that compliance with the below and the assurances referred to, as well as this certification, constitute a material condition for the continued receipt of federal financial assistance, comma, and therefore certify our compliance, meaning the compliance of the Norfolk Public Schools, the school board of the city of Norfolk, with the below legal obligations, and at this point I'm reading the proposed addition, the below legal obligations and interpretations to the extent they comply with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Constitution of the United States as interpreted by the courts of the Commonwealth of Virginia and the United States. So that is the proposed revised form. If the motion passes, this form, which I'm reading from handwritten notes, will be placed into a Word document identical in format to the document that was sent here from the United States Department of Education and will be executed by the superintendent sometime tomorrow before the deadline. Immediately upon execution, it'll be posted to board docs for the public's knowledge and review and sent on to the Virginia Department of Education, which is collecting all of these, and they will file the local certifications along with their own certification, because each state Department of Education is required to sign and file one of these. And at that point, I'll turn it over for discussion.
Any discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Ng?
Mr. Cloud, just so I'm correct, so what we're doing is we're looking to modify this to say that we're going to adhere to the laws that are already currently on the books that currently protect United States citizens that are already there, that have already been interpreted by the United States Supreme Court, and that are enshrined in our Constitution of the United States.
That's correct, except it would also include any future interpretations. That you will abide by the law as interpreted by the courts of Virginia and of the United States.
Okay. So But I want to make it very clear, there's already a law that exists that protects our students and our teachers. And we are now going to just send a letter to the president, or well, to the Department of Education to say, hey, that we are reaffirming that, hey, we know there's a law that protects them.
Yes, and in fact, your division, as well as every division in the country, has previously been required to sign certifications of compliance with Title VI as part of receiving the federal funding that you and all other divisions are currently receiving in the United States.
Any other discussion?
I guess I'll just ask that next time you make a change, I'd like to know about it before we're on the dais. Thank you.
Sorry, I am sorry for the lack of communication. Please forgive me. Ms. Tanner, please call the roll.
Basine?
Aye.
Buffalo?
Aye.
Inge?
No.
Martin?
Can you restate the motion, please?
The motion,
I move to direct the superintendent to sign a revised version of the certification of compliance with the federal civil rights laws that the U.S. Department of Education requires all state and local education agencies to sign by April 24th, 2025.
And Mr. Cloud, my question's for you, just to reaffirm that this could also be seen as noncompliance, correct?
It could. I can't say how the Trump administration and the United States Department of Education will react.
Okay, then I stand as in the negative, right? So that I don't support it. Right? Okay, good. Yeah, thank you.
What was her response?
Could you repeat?
Could you repeat that for the clerk? Are you voting no?
No. Yes, I'm voting no.
Olson?
Okay.
Yes.
Thomas?
No.
DeCalagero?
yes. All right. Agenda, motion is approved. Excuse me? Agenda item 7.01, this meeting is adjourned.